Good evening, Fernwood. My name's Neil, and thank you for joining me for my journey through the entire series of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. It is a soap opera that is subversive and controversial and provocative. And by that I mean thought provocative. We are heading into the March 22nd, 1976 episode. That is disc 7 for me, but week 12 of the series. We've been at it for a little while. And we have a lot of plot points to kind of mention at the end of last week. So let's just do a quick recap of those. Loretta has a single that has just started to hear some radio play. That has led to some good feelings. A check is on the way, and hopefully that check has some money attached to it. That has given Charlie a little bit of leeway at work, where he returns to try to resolve the money losing raffle that he set up. But while he was there, Tiny, the foreman that he got into a fight with just a few days before, had offered him a position back working as long as Loretta can perform at the company picnic. Kathy, after breaking up with deaf mute betrayer Steve, went on a date with Dennis Foley, who had just minutes earlier promised that he would wait as long as necessary for Mary Hartman. He's had pretty big feelings for Mary, and not always positive ones. So I guess we will see where that relationship leads. George and Tom have some issues with regards to the union. Tom just asked George to vote for him because George has been removed from the ballot because, I guess in George's words, he's old. Mary has been on what feels like an eternal search for meaning. I think that even actually goes back to the very first episode when she was concerned with waxy yellow buildup. And where that's manifesting lately is the need to meddle in other people's lives. Tom is ultimately critical of this behavior, and Mary defends herself using psychobabble that she reads in magazines and watches on TV. I personally think she can find meaning without messing with other people's lives. But, I don't know how this was perceived by literally anyone else, so that's just my opinion. One of the things that Mary is meddling with is by engaging Mona McKenzie, the sexpert surrogate sex therapist, to work with Mary and Tom, but primarily Tom, on their marital issues. Now, Tom doesn't seem to be suffering from the unnamed erectile dysfunction he was dealing with at the beginning of the series, but Mary is not satisfied with their sex. She also hasn't found a way to verbalize the problems she has with his sex to Tom, at least in the episodes that I have seen. So I kind of feel like that would be a better approach than, hiring someone to sex up your husband. I don't actually believe that Mary knows what a surrogate does. It's not been verbally stated on the show, but I get the feeling that it is obscure knowledge, and Mona McKenzie did not say anything about what a surrogate does, just that she did surrogate stuff and that wives tend to be defensive of that from their husbands. So that gets us caught up for the March 22nd, 1976 episode. It's the start of week 12. It is the start of my second case out of the 6 cases in my box set.
Mary, I saw Dennis last night, and I just have to tell you, he keeps getting more wonderful every time I see him. What?
What does that look like to you?
Mary, I want to tell you about Dennis.
No, tell me about that. What does it look like to you?
Well, it looks like shaving cream.
It's supposed to be pineapple filling for a pie.
don't see any pineapple. Listen, Mary, I want to tell you about Dennis.
What's picric acid?
I don't know.
Well, just say anything. What's mono acid? Or nitric acid? Phenyl C6H2NO2. Oh, trimethophenol. Would you bring your own chair?
Yeah, what is that supposed to be, the ingredients?
Yeah, but it doesn't say anything about pineapple.
Oh, Mary, they don't make food out of fruit anymore.
Well, what do they do with food if they don't put it in food?
I don't know. Listen, I want to tell you about Dennis.
Kathy, do you think that a person who likes fruit will like a fruit pie made without fruit?
I don't know. Why are you getting so bent out of shape over a pie?
Oh, Kathy, don't do that to me. This pie means a great deal to me.
What is so important about a pie?
Because I'm making this pie for someone very important who's coming over later.
And who is that?
Mona Mackenzie.
Is she the person that you introduced me to yesterday? I don't see what's so special about her.
Kathy, you know you're getting on my nerves.
I know, you don't want me to talk about Dennis.
Who said I don't want you to talk about Dennis?
Then why are you so upset? I mean, just because you had a relationship with him and now it's over.
Well, it was not a relationship.
You mean, you and Dennis never, you know.
No.
Why?
Kathy, I happen to be a happily married woman.
Happily?
Well, you know, so we have our problems, but I think they're going to be straightened out soon, I think. Anyway.
Oh, good. So now I can talk about Dennis.
Kathy, I know all about Dennis. Why don't you go next door and talk to Loretta about Dennis? She hardly knows him at all. She'd really enjoy that. Come on, take your chair. Take a chair. Go next door. Talk about Dennis. You'll enjoy talking about it. She'll enjoy listening about it. We're both a lot of pleasure.
Why are you so anxious to get rid of me?
Well, who said I'm anxious to get rid of you? Goodbye, Kathy.
Mary, I am not mad at you, and I hope whatever's making you nervous, you get rid of.
It is nothing. It is absolutely nothing. It's just that the whole rest of my life depends on it, that's all.
Who is it?
Kathy!
Oh, hi, hon. Just a second. Let me get over there and open the door for you. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, come on in. Listen, just heck yourself at home right there. Just scoot that junk off the couch here. Oh, I swear to Pete, and I have got to clean the daylights out of this place one of these days. Tell you, it's very hard to have a career and be a good housekeeper at the same time. I don't know how Mary Tyler Moore does it, you know? I mean, in real life, you know. Of course, now that I think about it, her TV apartment is real clean, too. But, of course, stagehands probably do that. So, how are you, hon?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm feeling really wonderful. It's
I
just...
know. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it, Kathy. I mean, Lord, girl, you're just a bloomin'. Love does that for you, doesn't it? You know, the minute I met Charlie, my face just started to bloom, just like that. I mean, it's amazing. So tell me, how's that policeman fellow of yours? What's his name?
His name is Dennis. Dennis Foley.
Right. Oh, well, listen, I want to hear all about him. Now, don't tell me the cat's got your tongue, because I know you've got a lot of stories to tell. You know, I can sit for hours listening to my girlfriends telling me about their loved ones. Because you know what they say? You got your old love and your true love, but there's no love like your new love. It's one of the first lyrics I ever wrote. And I thought that I had a tune for it, but I played it for somebody, and it turned out to be America the Beautiful. If you can, just 1 second. Let me just catch that, and then I want to hear all about that boyfriend of yours. Just a second, here now. Hello. Yeah, this is Miss Haggers. That's right, Miss Charlie Haggers. Who's this? His wife? No. What are you talking about? See, the position of Charlie Hager's wife is filled, and you speaking to the filly. His other wife? His first wife? Well, listen, I've had some prank calls in my time, but this is just about the prankiest. So, you're coming to Fernwood? Wait a minute, what is your name? Muriel Haggers. Well, Muriel, I don't suppose I can speak about Charlie's past. I can see that now. No more as I can speak for anybody's past, I guess. But the only woman in Charlie Hager's life, his present and his future, and from as far on after that as a wife can follow, his name's Loretta. Bye, Muriel.
to spend more time in my living room.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Is Kathy here? Your mother said she was over here.
No, she was. She's gone next door now.
Oh.
Next door. It's that way.
I know. Next door. That way is your mother's.
That's right. Next door. That way is the Haggard's house. That's where Kathy is right now.
It's nice to see you again. How have you been?
I don't know how long she's going to be next door, though, so if you want to see her, you better go next door before she leaves, because I don't know where she's going to go from there, and right now she's definitely next door. It's that way.
It's always nice to see you. Are you going to ask me in?
I'm sorry, I'm expecting company.
Is it anyone I know?
Did I mention that Kathy was next door?
Yes, you did.
I didn't. You know, it's just a very short walk.
What?
Next door.
All right, Mary. I'll leave.
Mm. Hello, Mary. Hi. Oh, you have company. Oh, this is an old friend of mine. This is Mona Mackenzie, and I'm sorry, I don't seem to remember your name.
The name is Dennis.
Dennis. Oh, nice. Charlie was just leaving. Here's the date with my sister, next door.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mary.
Bye. Let's sit down. Thank you. You know, it's funny. You know what I was thinking about a little while ago? Remember when we were in high school and Miss Winkles...
Mary, we never went to school together.
Oh, do you know what I've done? I've brainwashed myself. I mean, I have rehearsed that story so many times about us being old friends to convince Tom that I've convinced myself. Huh? Isn't it fascinating how the mind can fool itself? I mean, isn't that really fascinating?
Yes. Well, I've been thinking a lot about it myself, and I'm sure I can answer any questions your husband might put to me.
Oh, good. I'm just so glad, because really just what I'm afraid of, I mean, if this plan doesn't work, I mean, I really think that Tom and I are in serious trouble.
Oh, Mary, don't worry about a thing. Everything's gonna be all right, okay? Now, you understand I'll be working on your husband's performance anxieties.
Oh, good. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd be working on. His performance. Because I think that's what the problem is. Oh, by the way, your organization is registered.
Registered?
I mean, it is a...
Kosher?
Well, of course, it's that. I mean, you know, after all, it is the Lackawanna Institute. It's just that, you know, I read in Reader's Digest, like about Masters and Johnson. They're not the floor wax people, you know.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and anyway, you know, they write books and articles, and you hear about them on Johnny Carson's show, so you know that they're scientific and authentic.
Well, I can assure you the Lackawanna people are also scientific and authentic.
Are they?
Absolutely. We've read Masters and Johnson, too.
Oh, well, that's very reassuring.
We borrowed a lot from Masters and Johnson, actually. And everything else we could lay our hands on.
Oh, I see.
So reading into the history of Masters and Johnson, there were a lot of
I'm going to ask
quack
you, and I hope you
companies
don't
that
take offense at this, but
borrowed from Masters
does
and
that mean
Johnson.
your organization's a ripoff?
Oh, yes, definitely. In the very best sense of the word. Lackawanna is the Cadillac of ripoffs in the entire field.
Really?
Uh-huh. I mean, Mary, I just love this rapport, this relationship that you and I have developed. I mean, look how quickly you could ask me a loaded question like that. Do you take psychology?
Yes. From Dr. Joyce Brothers. And also Dear Abby. And her sister, you know, the other one.
Do they get into sex a lot?
Yes. Especially Dear Abby, she does. Desperate writes her a lot about sex. And Frigid does too, actually. And then there's one woman who always signs, keeping my legs crossed. I find that disgusting. But, you see, knowing all that does not make me an expert on what you're talking about. I mean, it really does. I don't understand that scientific stuff that you talk about. I mean, like sensate, focusing, is that it? I mean, of course, being a married woman, I do know about performance.
Mary?
Oh, and here he is now.
Hello.
Tom, guess who this is? Believe it or not, this is Mona Mackenzie.
Oh. Hello.
You remember Mona Mackenzie, don't you?
No, I don't think so.
Sure you do. Mona and I went to school together. To grade school. We were best friends. Didn't I ever tell you that?
No.
Oh, well, anyway, we were. And, you know, we did everything together. I mean, really, everything. I mean, we did homework and everything. And I was really heartbroken when she moved away. I mean, really heartbroken. Wasn't I, Mona?
Heartbroken.
Oh. Were you just visiting Fernwood, or did you move back? Or?
No, she just moved back.
Oh. Well, that's nice.
Well, I'm just so glad to see the two of you getting along so famously. You know, I was hoping you'd like each other, but this... I mean, my husband and my ex-best friend. Well, I'm sure that you two have a lot to talk about. So why don't I leave you alone? I'll go inside. I'll excuse myself and make a pot of coffee. Okay? Will you excuse me?
Sure, Mary.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad. Oh.
Boy, that's a surprise.
What?
Well, my wife's so anxious to leave me alone with an attractive woman. I hope you don't mind me calling you attractive.
Not at all. But why are you surprised at Mary leaving us alone? She strikes me as being a very secure woman.
Well, she's never really struck me that way. I mean, she's always struck me as being terribly insecure.
Well, sometimes an outsider such as myself can judge a marriage more objectively than the persons involved in it.
Oh, yeah. I suppose you're right, yeah. Are you married?
No. Just a working girl.
Oh, yeah?
Mm.
What line of work are you in?
I'm a sex therapist.
Oh, what? Beg your pardon?
A sex therapist.
I don't think I know what that means. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know what sex is, of course. Oh, my God. Oh, I know what therapist is. I know what they do. When I was in high school, you see, when they sent me to one, because I banged up my knee pretty bad, playing basketball. And they sent me this guy, and, he gave me a lot of exercises, and the knee felt just fine. Is that?
That pretty much describes the way I work.
Who takes one of their coffee?
Oh, so, hey, anybody want a refill on their marshmallows?
No, thank you.
About marshmallowed out, thank you. Well, we better be running along.
Yeah, that's right, honey.
Kathy and I have to go.
Oh, well, listen, it's just real pleasure having y'all here.
Really nice meeting you, Miss Loretta.
You're not in any pain or anything, are you?
Oh, no, why?
Well, it's just that you seemed a little down and stuff.
Oh, no, listen, I just have a little something on my mind, that's all. Well, listen now, it was real nice having y'all over, and please, come back. I mean, it's great seeing y'all so happy and all.
Yeah, well, we've been having a wonderful time, haven't we?
It's true. The nicest.
You two kind of came on sudden like, didn't you?
Well, when you meet the right man, just happens, and I feel like I've known Dennis all my life.
There's something about thinking that you know somebody real well and you don't, It's like that old country western song, I found a stranger in my bed when you start talking in your sleep.
Hi, honey. Hi, baby. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Hi, how are you? Hi. Look at you two. Look at you two little lovebirds. Don't they just remind you of you and me, honey? The first time that love ever kicked us in the head? I just hope things turn out for you two like they did for us, with nothing changing except to get better and better.
Well, thank you for the good wishes, Charlie. We were just running along.
Yeah.
It's nice seeing you.
Yeah, come by again. Come by again.
Goodbye, honey.
Take
Goodbye,
care,
Loretta. I'll see you later.
Goodbye, Loretta.
Let's go. On the way. Well, honey, what kind of day have you had? How you feeling?
I'm feeling like it's time that you and I had a talk, Charlie.
Well, sure, honey. What about?
About your wife.
Fine. Talking about you is always my favorite subject.
Your other wife, Charlie.
What are you talking about?
Muriel. She called up today.
Muriel?
That's right.
Muriel called here?
Long distance. She's coming to see you. She's coming to Fernwood, Charlie.
Coming. Why?
Why is a good question. I got lots of whys to ask, starting off with, why didn't you ever tell me you had another wife?
I don't have another wife. Muriel's not my wife. We got divorced a long time ago.
Charlie, you never even told me you was married before.
I didn't ever want to think about her or mention her name again.
Not one cotton-picking word about it.
Honey, do you remember when you proposed to me and you confessed a couple little things about your past?
Yeah.
And I said there was something about my past that I wanted to confess,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't let me.
Yeah, I remember now. Well, Charlie, it just looked like it was hurting it just so bad and everything. I didn't even want you to have to think about it, but I didn't know it was another one. I mean, I didn't know it was a Muriel.
It was a Muriel.
Well, do you still love her?
Do I love her?
Well, do you? I mean, Charlie, this woman is going to be here any time now, and I've got to know. Do you love her?
Honey, I have never feared another human being in my life until I got to know that woman. She is the most wretched soul on this earth, because wherever she goes, doom is sure to follow.
There are a few different plot threads. We'll see if I can recap them sufficiently. Mary and Mona, that's a big deal. Also, we get to see the Hartman living room for the first time. That's crazy pants. It's like I always just imagined it was, limbo, or like a TARDIS or something. Like people just walk into it and end up on the other side of the universe or something. And hey, we actually have a Hartman living room, and that line of "I've got to spend more time in my living room," I just adore that, because hey, they took the set that they were using for it was the um, Leroy and Blanche's house. It's the same shape, but then they dress it up a little bit differently, and that's them using a set and creating a whole new space for the Hartman family to be in. So hey, it's like reality is just getting a little more real. But then there's actually the story of Tom and Mary. Let me get back to that. Tom has no idea what's going on, and I actually think that's the biggest injustice to him. That I think that of course, it's something that I've wanted for a long time, for them to get some kind of counseling, some kind of help. And Tom sought it out actually in the past, but really that was a bad experience. Mary has looked for help, I think, but she tends to look for help in ways that aren't that legit. Like TV talk shows are her main advice, or magazine articles. And again, not that bad things are being said in those places, but it's really incomplete information, and you're not reading an article does not make you an expert in how to do stuff, or how to enact, or how to live your life. Kathy is super happy to have Dennis around, and Dennis still somewhat obsessed with Mary. So I think that could be a pretty gross little storyline to come. And then we've got the Haggers, sweet Loretta and Charlie. I'm glad that they still are having positive feelings toward each other. Of course, the insertion of Muriel as Charlie's ex-wife is potentially sticky. I think she's going to be a character who has some life to her, but she's still just a name at this point. Of course, Loretta's first instinct is to just completely, there was a bit of jealousy underneath her reaction. I would think it's surprising that someone that I was getting involved with didn't have a past. Now, of course, Loretta and Charlie are married, so maybe you should know more things about a person that you're married to, but the show justifies it by saying Loretta specifically asked for him not to reveal the stuff. Oh well. And then there's Mona McKenzie. Mona McKenzie, admittedly, as I mentioned during the recording of this, is kyping from Masters and Johnson, because Masters and Johnson were the prominent experts in the field of sexuality. There were others, but they were the ones who had some of the biggest science. In the history of sex education, you have the Kinsey report and the research being done there, but then the Masters and Johnson were the first people to record scientific evidence of how the sexual stimulus worked on the body, and all the way through to, well, they built a big understanding. And their story is a whole other can of worms, but suffice it to say that once they became popular, once their work became known, and it was really popular in the mid-60s or so, but once it became popular, other people started acting like they were experts. And one cannot say whether they gave good or bad advice, but all of a sudden, you've got a bunch of people who haven't done the work acting like experts. So Mona McKenzie, maybe I don't feel too confident in her skills. I also don't feel too confident in the fact that Tom has no idea that he has been engaged in this way. Mona, of course, did say that she was a sex therapist, and Tom figured out what a sex therapist was, And Mona planted the seeds in this episode for saying there may be some kind of sexual contact between them. In a professional sense on Mona's side, and maybe less understanding of that on Tom's side. But anyway, we've got a lot of little bits going on, but that was the March 22nd, 1976 episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Thank you so much for coming along, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.